Okay, let's start with a wild idea. What if the world's oldest scriptures weren't just holy books, but were actually the source code for an entire civilization? Today, we're going to look at the Vedas, one of the most influential texts in all of human history, through that exact modern lens. I mean, really think about it. What if a society's core beliefs and all its rituals were basically its operating system? And what happens when that society starts to evolve and suddenly needs a major software update? Well, we're about to find out. We are going to dive deep into this foundational code, understand its original version, track a really critical update, and then uncover a dramatic fork in that code, a split in ideology that literally sent two cultures on completely different paths and ended up shaping the major religions we know today. Now, for most of history, the Vedas have been held in such high regard they've almost become alien to us. They're written in this ancient, incredibly complex Sanskrit, and for centuries it was actually forbidden to even write them down, which of course raises an obvious question: how on earth did they survive? Well, they were preserved through this absolutely incredible system. You can think of it as a decentralized human blockchain. Entire families, known as branches, were responsible for memorizing different parts. And to make sure the accuracy was perfect, they didn't just chant them forwards, they chanted them backwards, and in all these complex, repetitive patterns, which made the text pretty much incorruptible for thousands of years. So, with that in mind, let's look at the original operating system, the Rigveda. This is the oldest of all the Vedas, and it gives us this direct, unfiltered window into the worldview of the early Vedic people. And the central hero of the Rigveda is a god named Indra. Now, he's not some perfect, serene, meditating deity, no way. He's a warrior king. He's powerful, he's impulsive, sometimes he's violent, and even jealous. And yet, he was worshipped, because despite all of his flaws, Indra gets the job done. He helps you win wars and become powerful. And that tells you everything you need to know about the society that created him. The Rigveda was largely the product of the Angiras clan. These were adventurous warrior people based in the Punjab. Their entire world was about action, will, and power. But civilizations don't just stand still. And this brings us to the Yajurveda, which really is the first major software update. As Vedic society began to change, it needed a completely new set of instructions to live by. You see, a massive shift was underway. People were migrating from that nomadic life in the Punjab eastward, moving into the fertile Gangetic plains and starting to establish settled agricultural societies. And this new life, it required structure, stability, and order. The Yajurveda provided that structure. It's basically a manual for yajna, these intricate, super complex rituals that weren't just about worship. No, they were seen as cosmic machines, like algorithms for maintaining order and prosperity in a newly complex world. But this wasn't the only code being written. Running in parallel was a different kind of Veda, one that was so different it actually wasn't even accepted into the official canon for centuries. And that was the Atharvaveda. And here, the contrast is just stark. While the Rigveda focused on these grand concepts for kings and states, the Atharvaveda was for the common people. It was filled with chants for healing illnesses, for protecting your children, even for finding love. It was practical, it was magical, and it was deeply personal. This huge difference in focus really came from two rival clans of sages. You had the Angiras, who dominated the Rigveda. They worshipped the Devas, gods of will and power, like their hero Indra. But then you had the Bhrigus, who shaped the Atharvaveda, and they had a very different philosophy. They worshipped the Asuras, and they valued cosmic order, stability, and purity. And this ideological clash is just perfectly personified by their chief gods. On one side, you've got Indra, the embodiment of raw, untamed will. And on the other, you have Varuna, the god of Rita, or cosmic order. He's the silent, all-seeing judge who knows everything that happens. He represents moral law and structure. I mean, two completely opposing ideals. So you have to understand, this wasn't just some friendly philosophical debate. This conflict between will and order, between the Angiras and the Bhrigus, it led to a monumental fork in the religious source code of the ancient world. So, in India, Indra's path, the path of will, largely won out. But what happened to Varuna and that whole Bhrigu philosophy of cosmic order? Did it just disappear? Well, not quite. In India, in classic fashion, Varuna's attributes weren't just erased,
They were assimilated. His majesty and his all-seeing nature were absorbed into a deity from a later era, the Puranic god Vishnu, who, as you know, became a central figure in modern Hinduism.
But another group, one that was deeply influenced by that pre-Greek view worldview, took a different path. They migrated west to Persia, and there, the essence of Varuna evolved into the supreme, singular, formless god of a brand new faith, Zoroastrianism. And the evidence for this is, well, it's just stunning. In the Vedas, a title for a wise Asura was Asura Mazdas, which means wise lord. In the Zoroastrian holy book, the Avesta, the name for the supreme god is Ahura Mazda, which also means wise lord. But if you're looking for the smoking gun, the actual receipt, if you will, here it is. In a list of the 101 names for Ahura Mazda found in the Zoroastrian texts, the 44th name is, explicitly, Varuna. The connection is absolutely undeniable. The prophet Zoroaster is the one who formalized this split. He openly rejected the Devas, like Indra, calling them givers of bad counsel. And instead, he preached the worship of one single, ethical god, Ahura Mazda, establishing what many consider to be the world's first major monotheistic religion. And so this ancient ideological fork had consequences that echoed down through millennia, shaping the entire spiritual landscape of our planet. I mean, just think about the two paths that came from this. The Persian path, focused on one supreme, orderly god, laid the monotheistic groundwork that would directly influence Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Meanwhile, the Indian path absorbed Varuna into its diverse pantheon, creating a system where many, many gods can coexist, all as aspects of a single, ultimate reality. And it just leaves us with this powerful thought. This great split, one that shaped vastly different religious traditions across the globe, didn't begin with armies or empires clashing. It began with a debate between two clans of sages over two powerful ideas, the chaotic power of individual will and the serene power of cosmic order.